I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible.
When you say you're going to do something, you do it.
I do solemnly swear
There is no starting or stopping, only doing.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
You gotta protect it.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
In the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Welcome back to the Progressive Patriots. Just me once again. I'm working on this, really trying to see if I could find some people to bring in. Might have to venture out of the veteran circle, which is kind of hoping not to, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. I'm pretty sure that just me riffing at the microphone for an extended period of time is only going to be enjoyable for so long. All right, so it is just about 1 on Friday, February 16th. So, who knows what will have happened by the time you are listening. What else? Right, up top. If I do say anything that's off the mark, or whatever the case may be, or just something you disagree with, or whatever, 833-LUX-PODS. If you call, it goes straight to voicemail, and I can cut your audio in, which I think would be more fun. But if you text, it's anonymous there as well. So that works just as well if you would prefer to do that. Either way, let's get into this bitch. So, the FISA expiration is coming up. Now, it's referred to as Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act or whatever the fuck. But this particular segment is the one that is what permitted warrantless surveillance of American citizens for the purposes of quote-unquote countering foreign threats. I don't fucking believe that for a second. So there is a considerable contingency of the House that is they're going to vote against it if it does not have a warrant requirement added. I'll get to like the particulars of who has been speaking out against it, which it's actually some noteworthy people. But Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he's pulling it away from the vote, which it was gonna be going up this week at some point or early next week, but he's pulling it away. The suspicion is that it's not going to pass without the warrant requirement, and that's very accurate. That's a very, well pointed suspicion. But I think that the pullback is that he or whoever is advising him on this is they want to keep it warrantless. Is essentially what that's what the hang up is that the surveillance state, FBI, CIA, NSA, whoever else want to keep it warrantless so that they can just continue to spy on us for no fucking reason. Oh, right, because quote unquote foreign threats, right? Totally. That's exactly what it is. I'm certain. So I think that there's going to be in the House, I think it's the House Intelligence Committee that's been pushing back on this, where I about shit myself when I read this, as I had to double check to make sure, but broken clocks and all that. Jim Jordan, yes, that Jim Jordan, the of Ohio State wrestling and other sexual assault in the athletics department fame, his exact words, quote, "If the warrant requirement doesn't go into legislation, I ain't supporting it," end quote. Now, he said more, somebody else. Jerry Nadler, who is the Democrat co-chair of the committee, he's out of New York 12. His was a lot more. His quotes were more like snippets, but the best, I think, the most detailed, I guess, phrasing is he said, "The bill before us is completely inadequate," which, I know that's not a whole lot to quote him for, but it's I mean, is he wrong? Nick Langworthy, Republican out of New York 23. He was one of the first ones to point out that his word, his keyword was remarkable, seeing both sides of the aisle really working to undo the surveillance state, really working towards restoring the privacy of private citizens. Thomas Massey, out of Kentucky 4, he said, quote, "This is a rare occurrence, but I find nothing to disagree with in your testimony," end quote. So it was touching, to be honest with you. This is extremely refreshing to see politicians actually doing something for the benefit of the constituency. It's pretty nice. It's a nice change of pace, to be to say the least. So there's that. This has personally been one of my biggest hang-ups with policy these days. And this shit got put in around in the immediate post 9/11 era, and it's been renewed over and over again. And what astounds me is that in that time, a lot of very supposed constitutional purists or whatever, it seems like that purity, the desire for purity, only applies to Amendment 2 and does not apply to anything else. So they're completely fine with putting our Fourth Amendment rights into a dumpster fire. And with that, I really have, by extension, I think that it does have a negative impact, a strong negative impact on our First Amendment rights, because we cannot have private conversations anymore, right? You can't. Your dissidence, I don't think dissidence is the right word. Your dissension of anything in government is already a known quantity, and it's one of those. To me, it's one of the things that would lead to, to be really Orwellian with it, thought crime. That's what I think that's what it would lead to. You cannot. The only privacy that you would have is your thoughts inside of your own head. As soon as it leaves your mouth, it's no longer private. To a degree, I understand how that, why that works. But I have a friend here in my home. If I were to have a friend in my home, we could not have a candid conversation without. We already know pretty much that it's being recorded or surveilled in some way, and how that has been acceptable for as long as it has been, I'm not sure when or where we decided that it was okay. Being pretty tech savvy, working in IT, I'm very well aware of some pretty basic monitoring tools and how they work and what they can collect. Just by proximity, I was able to hear about technology that monitors that not just what you're looking at or anything, but your mouse movement, how often do you linger on particular pages, those performance bullshit metrics, and Now, for those things to be collected without you knowing, that's problematic, to put it lightly. But moving along, another thing out of Congress, this one out of motherfucking Senate. Earlier in the week, they passed a $95 billion package that contained foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, all wrapped up in one. So, that's pretty cool, I think. It's a pretty slick move to because Ukraine aid, not quite as popular as far as getting into the House. Taiwan aid, more or less, probably more favorable than not. And Israel with House Republicans is very popular. So trying to bundle them together, I think, is a really good move. While supposed experts don't expect this to pass in the House, but with how slim the majority is, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Only a handful, need to vote the other way, vote against party line. And part of me does think that because this was passed in the, this is a Senate bill, so it's a Democrat bill, right? So a good part of me, the cynic in me, thinks that it's not, the Republicans are just not going to vote for it because of that. Just how they are, right? Not that Democrats are all that much better, but I think the key difference here is the merit of what they're voting against, so, but I don't know, that might also be a partisan perspective as well. Regardless, I hope that this does pass. I know that there are more, I think they're just keeping the opinion more private because of how unpopular it is within the Republican conference. But there are a lot of not just pro-Israel, not just pro-Taiwan because anti-China, but there are also pro-Ukraine because anti-Russia. There are some who still understand that they are an adversary, despite whatever Trump might try to say. Russia is and will continue to be an adversary of ours. So I hope that those House Republicans, I expect some in swing districts. Something that I didn't look into was how much of that Israel aid includes humanitarian aid for Palestine, because I'm sure that could sway some House Democrats to not vote for it. Just on that alone. That's a serious wedge issue here. But moving along, speaking of the majority, Tom Suozzi, he wins the special election for New York 3 by about 8%. So that's pretty cool. That's a fucking wide win. His opponent, Mazi Pilip, she's a Ethiopian woman. She's Jewish. She served in the IDF. I expect that particular detail, the IDF part of it, and the Jewish part of it, is what I think why the New York Republican Party decided to bring her up for this, because otherwise she's there's a lot to be desired on her resume. So I don't know. I think that they were trying to pander with that choice. And I didn't look into the veracity of this, but I did see something that while she was running for the Republican seat, or as the Republican nominee, that she's a registered Democrat. I don't know. Just seeing the little bit of footage that I did, her talking points seem pretty rehearsed. I'm not entirely certain how organic they are. Tom Suozzi, he's that was his seat before he did not seek re-election so that he could get his ass beat in the gubernatorial race for New York. But those are his words as well. He's probably just more savvy, you know what I mean? Whereas Miss Phillip is not. Either way, doesn't matter because she didn't win. Now, the former FBI informant, Alexander Smirnov, has been indicted by a grand jury for making false statements and creating a false and fictitious record as it pertains to his information about Hunter Biden and his dealings with the Ukrainian energy company. So his penalties include up to 25 years in prison. There is no attorney of note yet. I don't think he either hasn't elected one or been appointed one. Regardless, it's important for me to qualify this up front. A little preface here is, if Hunter Biden did something wrong, if he broke the law in some way, fuck him. Okay? Try him. If he's guilty, then fuck him. He gets just desserts. That's what you get. This isn't me, despite my clear favoritism or left-leaning perspectives or outlooks. Hunter Biden, just because of who his father is, he's not excluded from justice, and I don't know why anybody would think that he is. It's fucking ridiculous. But so it looks like this dude was I wonder who put him up to that shit, because I don't know why why would you just make that shit up on your own if you're legitimately an informant? Why would you just make the shit up? But I don't know, making shit up, yes. I didn't want to talk about it at length because it's been beaten to death at this point, but special counsel Robert Hur, his conclusions, his findings on the President Biden classified document situation, he clearly inserted a lot of his personal opinions into what should have ended with, did this dude did he knowingly take them home or take them outside of an approved area? Yes. Is that a crime? Yes, it is. But it's kind of the nature of the beast when you're a high-level politician. Mike Pence did the same thing. He took classified documents home, and both Pence and Biden, when prompted by the National Archives, they didn't even have to get to the law enforcement agencies. The archives said, "Hey, those are ours. Fucking give them back," and they did. It's really simple. It is very fucking simple. So this whole Trump bullshit about two-tier justice, no, dude, no. It's not that Biden's getting off and you're not. It's that Biden gave the fucking documents back and you didn't. Not only did you not give them back, you lied about having them, and then when that lie was brought to light, you straight up refused to give them back because they're mine. No, they're not, buddy. No, they're not. And then further to that, you destroyed evidence that you had them, you bringing them in or out or whatever whatever was on the tapes that were destroyed. That's the fucking problem, dog. It's not that you had them. You can, you're the president. That was your house. That was your home. You live at Mar-a-Lago. You can have your documents there. Your term is up. You fucking lost the election. You give them back. You don't. There is a process by which things are declassified, which, yeah, it is at the privilege of the executive, but you don't just think it and then it is so. Nobody knows if you did that or not. So the formal process is just I don't know, you sign a piece of fucking paper that says, I declassified this shit. And you have to do that while you're in office. You're not being these are problems of your own creation, right? But that whole thing is already being fucking beaten to death as well. Back to Robert Hur, the whole what are they saying? What did he say? Like that he does not recommend bringing charges because Biden complied with the fucking investigation. Awesome, you could have ended it there, but instead you decided to add a bit about how even if he did go to trial, what was it? He wouldn't be found guilty because he would present himself as a well-meaning old man with a bad memory. Is he an old man? Yeah. Is his memory bad? No, it's not great. It isn't great. He's old. It's just a natural part of aging. Trump has gaffes way more often, despite his claims that he does it on purpose. No, the fuck you're not. Please do not try to make yourself seem deeper than you are. I don't think that is how Biden would present himself if he were brought to trial anyway. I don't think he would want to be, like, try to play up, the fuck's this? Epstein? No, Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein or whatever. That him trying to act like he was this decrepit old fuck with like a walker and stuff. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I don't think Biden would try to do that type of shit. I think he would take his licks like a man. He would stand, he would say, I fucked up, do with me what you will, and accept the consequences of his choices. Just what I think, based on what it appears he's like. What the type of man that I perceive him to be, is that he would do that. That's not to say he is above reproach, or he's perfect, or he's like a gift from God or anything like that. That's fucking ridiculous. But he would, I think, take the consequences of his actions with some level of grace and humility. Whereas Trump, like, we see how this is going, right? Not well. God, what a fucking crybaby, man. It's not... I don't know. Enough of that shit. So yeah, Hur says that shit, and I remember where I wanted to go with that now. Like, was the age thing? Everyone's talking about it. I know. Yes, he's old. I know that. He's fucking 81. I know. Nobody's saying he isn't. Nobody's pretending that he's this, like, a sprightly 55-year-old. Nobody's acting like that. Anyone who is fucking kidding themselves. And I think they're being deliberately, they're being disingenuous, is what I think. But anyway, so he's old. We know that. I know that. Yeah, of course. Like, the number doesn't lie. It's 81. That's what the number is. Now, how do you approach that dilemma? Just on the merits of policy records, it is no contest who the superior president has been. Like, I cannot imagine, even, was Bush, did he have any consequential legislation that wasn't too terrible for us? I don't know. But regardless, he was more consequential of a president than Trump is. And Trump passed what? His tax cuts? Is that it? Fantastic. Please, average voter, tell me, Please tell me. 833 Lux Pods. Text me. Call me. Tell me. How the fuck did that benefit you? How did that benefit you? Because, surprise, spoiler, it didn't. Dog, it didn't. We working class people, our tax cuts were temporary. The tax cuts on the extremely wealthy and corporations were permanent. That's fucking ridiculous. How that is to your benefit is beyond me. And when I say it's beyond me, I mean to say that it's not to your benefit. It isn't. And if you think it is, you're not. I want to try to refrain from insulting words. It's just simply put, it's not to your benefit. It isn't. Never was. It was never meant to be. A lot of what President Biden has accomplished has been very much to the benefit of the American people. It doesn't matter. Climate change is real, 100%. If you don't think so, you're a fucking idiot. That one I'm not going to pull back on. You're an idiot. Either intentionally or not. Either way. So the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a huge investment in green energy, was just fucking phenomenal for working families. A lot of jobs were created as those plans are being implemented, as those objectives are being met of like how much is being created and deployed and installed where. All of those steps in the plan are job creating. Okay, that it was 100% to your benefit as an average American, as a tax-paying working American person. The Chips and Science Act, similarly, with the assistance of our partners, our Taiwanese partners, who are very well skilled in semiconductors and all the rest of it, and all the like the logistical aspects that go into not just their creation, but raw materials in, processing, building, making the things, and then sending them out, right? How to create what is for what best used. Like these are factories being built in the US, okay? Americans are going to be working at these. From what I understand, under the supervision or direction of Taiwanese management. So they're teaching us how to do it, and then I expect at some point the number of Taiwanese personnel will be pulled back. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really care because fucking the real China is, I'm cool. They're cool with us. We're cool with them. So I don't give a shit if they stay here or not. It's entirely up to them. Anyway, those are factories that are being built in the US. A lot of skilled labor is being developed and utilized. American labor. Those are just two of the many things. The fucking child tax credits. I don't have kids, so it doesn't affect me directly, but it is imperative that you remember, if you have kids, that is absolutely to your benefit. Oh, what was it? Now another one is the student loan debt forgiveness. I know that there are some people who think, oh, well, I had to pay my student loans. This is an insult to me. You're insulting me by fucking forgiving their debt, but not mine. Like, nah. I can see why you would feel that way. It's a very selfish and stupid way to think about it, but I can see why you would. Regardless, from an outsider's perspective, I was in the military. I had have used the GI Bill. I don't have student debt. I don't care. Please, yes, forgive their debt, because that's money that they're going to keep in their pockets that gets recycled into the economy as they purchase goods and services. Holy shit. It's a fucking concept, isn't it? It's a fucking crazy concept. All right, that's enough riffing on that, because we're about to riff on Trump and his bullshit about the NATO thing. All right. So, if you haven't heard by now, the summary is Trump made up an interaction with a head of state from a quote-unquote big country in Europe. Like many of the interactions that he cites at rallies and stuff, he made it up. It's completely made up. He said the other head of state said, "Oh, excuse me, sir," like speaking all like meekly to him, like get the all right. That's dumb enough already. But what if a NATO country was delinquent on whatever, would the U.S. come to our aid if someone attacked us? He said, "No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You gotta pay." Something for context, if you don't already know this, if you haven't already heard this by now, NATO has 31 members, 31 member states, and this whole thing that he's talking about with you gotta pay your bills, is that the object, it's not an obligation, by the way, it's a desired goal that all member states should spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense, on their own defense. The U.S. being fucking enormous, we spend 3.5. Anyway, so only 11 are currently meeting that target defense spending level of 2% of GDP. So, unfortunately, there are a lot, 20 obviously, that are not meeting their they're not meeting the obligation that they should be, that they set for themselves, pretty much. Now, NATO is not a members club where you have to pay to be in it, and like you have to pay. It's not. You're not. This isn't like the U.S. protection organization where you pay us money and we'll fucking come to your defense. That's not what it is. It's the dumbest fucking thing. I don't know how is it that the people who like in particular his voter base, people who claim to be super pro-military, fucking love the military, and you know all about it, but you don't know how NATO operates. Like, how is this the case? Well, I feel like I just dispelled the myth, the bullshit that the illusion that he's trying to put in front of people's eyes. This isn't like a protection scheme where people have to pay us money for us to be willing to come to their aid if they need it. That's not what it is. To suggest that is misleading, to say the least. It's very stupid, yes, but it's also misleading. It's trying to reduce what is a complex ally structure to a protection scheme. That's ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. Rand Paul, Jr., senator out of Kentucky, referred to it as a stupid thing to say. Broken clocks. What are you going to do? What else do we got here? Marco Rubio, senior senator out of Florida. Virtually every American president at some point in some way has complained about other countries in NATO not doing enough. Trump's just the first one to express it in these terms, but I have zero concern because he's been president before. Well, little Marco, I'm gonna tell you, I do have concern because he has been president before, and people stopped him from leaving NATO before. That's, I think, why we're still here in NATO, I mean. And this shit that he's saying now, like, if he Project 2025, if you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend getting familiar with it because it's fucking spooky reading, spine chilling reading. It's fucking really scary what they plan to do if Trump wins office. And leaving NATO is not, I think that'll just be one of the first things is you just, I don't know, with the scissors just says, fuck that. We're not doing it. We're not in it anymore. We're not going to help you. Simple as that. It's ridiculous. Junior senator from Vermont, Peter Welch. Trump normalizes belligerent behavior, but in fact he means it. Duh. Now, there is... I wanted to get some opinions of people that I don't agree with, besides little Marco there, or Rand Paul. But this one is a little bit more forceful. It's Jason Miller, one of the Trump campaign advisors. Is Democrat and media pearl clutchers seem to have forgotten that we had 4 years of peace and prosperity under President Trump. Fucking incorrect about the prosperity part, but whatever. 4 years of peace. I included this because I really wanted to illustrate that Trump was not the linchpin of peace. He really wasn't. Because I recall very much China still being aggressive in the South Asian Sea, which I cover anytime I do a global show. There's always something happening there, and it has been that way for ages. It did not stop just because Trump was there. Okay, this whole, like, oh, we would not come to your aid. Like, do you think that because if Trump were in office, that Russia would not attack? Are you fucking kidding me? That would be the perfect time to attack, because he knows perfectly well that you're not going to come to help. Unbelievable. I don't know. There was a lot of... oh, right. I forgot that he considers the places shitholes, right? Because there was and continues to be a lot of violence in Africa. So, I don't know where this peace is coming from. But then again, it's Africans, right? Dude, we don't really care about them. Feel free to suck both of my balls, Jason Miller. You can take that to the bank. Now, on the peace accoutrement, the Biden just cut. We had an order of 83 F-35s from Lockheed, but he cut that down to 70. It's about 18% reduction in the order. But this is a savings of approximately $1.6 billion in the budget, which is capped at for fiscal year 2025 at $895 billion. The current cuts that he's making, with some of the other ones, are some missile defense systems to Guam, as another part of the China deterrence package. Older ships and older aircraft being decommissioned, taken out of service. But these cuts aren't final. There's fiscal year 2025 starts October 1, 2024. So there's still quite some time to go before we get there. The F-35 is a marvelous aircraft. It really is. The price tag is pretty fucking heavy. Not as bad as the F-22, I think, due in large part to us selling the F-35 to other countries, whereas we didn't with the F-22 for some reason, which is also a fucking marvelous aircraft. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I think decommissioning older shit is a good idea. Why keep paying higher and higher maintenance costs to keep legacy equipment in service? Maybe, I don't know, to move it to the reserves. Fuck, I don't fucking know. But there you go, F-35. Maybe that I should have put that in the boring but important part, because that was a lot more of a budgetary stuff. Fuck that. Yeah, that's your boring but important piece of news for the day. I could not find anything else. I'm sure there is, but I just didn't look that hard. Now, moving along, the US Marshals Service, which provides protection to federal judges, federal prosecutors, they have noted a very sharp increase, not sharp, but a significant increase in serious, credible threats to federal judges, having doubled in the last 3 years. So the threats against federal prosecutors has increased, almost tripled, from fiscal 21 to fiscal 23. So yeah, the judges is it's almost doubled, right? A considerable number of these election challenges, or were during the 2020 election challenges. That's when a lot of these threats were happening, when they were being received or being investigated by the marshals. No surprise there. 2020 election challenges. Yeah. So the director of the Marshal Service, Ronald Davis, his words, "The threat environment right now that is causing me concern is when people disagree with the judicial process or the government, and that turns into those verbal attacks. And that is the beginning of the process that threatens the judiciary and threatens our democracy." U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland expressed similar concerns regarding a deeply disturbing spike in threats, and he warned that these threaten the fabric of our democracy. Since January 6, 2021, there have been 232 politically motivated riots, brawls, beatings, and killings. Now, it's important to remember, before I mention that, I'm going to give to be fair, some of those were related to the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. So, in my eyes, that's like, righteous indignation. Still not cool to threaten the Supreme Court, regardless of how you feel about it. But I understand the emotion. Good thing to keep in mind is the threat of violence or actual violence to bring about political change is terrorism. Okay, I'm not sure why we're not using the term yet, because who was it Laura Ingraham that said we're all domestic terrorists? Like, yeah, actually you are, good thing that good thing you admit it, because you are. You and your fucking thugs here threaten people to get what they want. That is terrorism. I'm not sure what it's going to take for people to start taking it more seriously, or at least to seem like to be more public about how seriously they're taking it. Not sure what it's going to take for that to happen. I really hope it doesn't based on the way that we respond to fucking mass shootings, apparently we're not going to do anything about it at all. But yeah, the federal judges thing, I wanted to bring that up just to remind you all that these are domestic terrorists. If you don't agree with that term, tell me why. 833 Lux Pods. Let me know what your rationale is. I'm interested to hear it. If you do leave a voicemail, and you're just a dickhead the whole time, I'm not gonna cut you in. I'm not gonna cut your audio in. I might reference it, but I'm not gonna cut it in. So maybe try to be a little bit. You can say something like dumb, like this is dumb, you're dumb, that's dumb. But like if you start getting really inflammatory, then I'm just not going to include it. So there you go. Keep that in mind. Right. Mass shootings. There were 2.5 at the Super Bowl parade in Kansas City. Local DJ for KKFI, Lisa Lopez Galvan was killed in a mass shooting at the Super Bowl parade. There were other relatives of Lisa were shot as well. I believe her cousin was there with her 2 daughters, and the 2 daughters were hurt. And I know that Lisa's son was also hurt. They were all non-critical, fortunately. The crowd at the parade was approximately 1 million people, somewhere in that neighborhood, plus or minus, and there were about 20 casualties, injuries, and deaths. There were 2 people. So, all right, one thing to add, I guess, is before I get to the rest of it, is that the shooting appears. That's what the KC police were saying as far as of when I started this. They were saying that it appears to have been a personal dispute. It was not like politically motivated or anything like that. It was just 2 people having a problem, which understandable. People, emotions are high, I guess. It's whatever the case. But this dude had a fucking like AK-47 style rifle with him. That is what doesn't make sense to me. Why? It's very reasonable and understandable and believable to have, like a concealed carry at such a really populous event. You never know when something's going to pop off, I guess. I can see that. It's understandable. But an AK, dude, at a parade? Why? 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 Why were you? Why? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. Of the 15, 11 people that were hurt either by gunfire or in the chaos, the panic that ensued after the gunshots were heard. 11 of them were children. So I don't know. I'm not sure how they get to continue playing that card. The Republicans, of being, family values and family safety, protect the children. Like, man, like a dude wearing makeup, reading them a book is completely unacceptable. But it's all right to have children's lives laid on the altar of gun fucking rights. Awesome. Good one. That's great. Like, it's okay for your kids to die. That's fine. They're okay with your kids dying as long as they get to have an AK-47. Makes perfect sense. There were 2 guys who stopped the shooter, and this was not good guy with a gun. Trey Filter and Paul Contreras, 2 guys that were at the parade, they tackled him. They tackled the shooter. So there you go. From what I've been reading about Miss Lisa, is that she was pretty well known in the community. She was a DJ. She was a private DJ before being on the radio. So she, like, a lot of people knew her from her DJing their, weddings, whatever, family parties, whatever the fuck. So there's that. And she continued to do that a little bit while she was still the radio DJ. So, man, this is... Moving on to another one. Same day, in Atlanta, there was, at the Benjamin E. Mays High School, 4 kids were shot. Fortunately, no life-threatening injuries, so, small mercies, right? It's one important number here is that as of February 14th, there were 48 mass shootings in 2024. So since up to February 14th, a mass shooting is defined as 4 or more people injured or killed, not including the shooter, right? So 48. Now, that's up to February 14th. And February 14th was the 45th day of the year. Oh, man. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Good stuff. That's America, baby. Lives put upon the altar of freedom. All right. Last one. This one was actually prevented shooting, but did not end well. So there were 2 off-duty cops at a church event in Houston. This was for what's that fucking cocksucker, Joel Osteen or whatever? That multi-millionaire that convinces people, like working poor people, to give him more money for whatever reason. Anyway, it was an event for his church, and 2 off-duty cops were going to be in attendance, and a woman was walking up, described as early 30s, something like that, early to mid 30s. She was walking towards the event with a small, like a child somewhere between the ages of 3 and 5, if memory serves. And the cops, the woman was acting somewhat erratically, talking about having bombs, and had I think it was an assault rifle, like, kind of thing, but the only description that I've heard was long gun, which is any kind of rifle really, or shotgun. The thing is that the police chief, when he described, when I read his little statement that she had a long gun, it could have been a lot worse. So my thinking is that it's not like a hunting rifle, you know what I mean? It was something that's designed for maximum carnage. But the police officer shot and killed her. 2 other people were injured in the crossfire. One of them non-life-threatening injury, non-critical, was being treated at the hospital. I expect that the man has gone home by now. It was just shot in the leg, wounded in the leg. The other one was the child that was with the woman, who was in critical condition at the hospital. I'm not... The police chief didn't specify who or how, why, who, where shot the kid. But regardless, like, man, that's fucking rough. Like, on the one hand, you want to applaud this is like a perfect situation of good guy with a gun, right? This is a good one to hold up. And to an extent, I do agree. This is police officers fucking doing what they're supposed to do, doing it right when they're stopping a mass shooter. But what isn't right is shooting a kid. I highly doubt it was on purpose. I really do. It's just, man, like, you guys need more range time or something, because you really fucked that up. You had one target, and you hit the one you shouldn't. Like, I know that you simulate these sorts of scenarios in your training, and you fucked it up. I don't know. I'm going to try to reserve judgment till I hear more, and I will let you know as I find out. All right. Oh shit. Couple more things before I get out of here. Some activists earlier this week on Valentine's Day in Washington D.C. at the Constitution display. Donald Zepeda and Jackson Green were arrested for vandalism. They were spreading, I'm not sure, maybe like an artist would know, I don't know what this means, pink tempera paint powder. I'm gonna guess that it's just me guessing, 100% speculation. It's some shit that you're supposed to mix with water, and that's when it turns into paint. And then, but in this case, when you try to clean it up, if you try to clean it up with water, it just gets more messy. Just my guess. Zepeda and Green both cited the Constitution as they were doing their thing, that cited the Constitution as people having the right to clean air and a livable climate. And they called for Biden to declare a climate emergency. These two guys were members of the Declare Emergency campaign. Surprise. The rotunda was closed Thursday, is going to remain closed today, Friday. Total cost, like, I thought it was weirdly specific, $25,780.62. So, fun. This is a little bit. So there were those ladies in France, I think it was, that threw, one of them threw tomato soup on a Da Vinci painting, or it was some painting. I can't recall the name. And then the Mona Lisa got a cake thrown at it, which I expect was a Marie Antoinette symbolism there. But this one, the Constitution was under the display, like, it was completely protected, so it didn't get damaged or anything. And I expect the paintings in the Louvre were passable imitations. Regardless, I kind of get what they're doing. I think I brought up in a worldwide episode that Italy they're ramping up the criminal charges and penalties, fines, and it's all the rest of it for any vandalism that happens to heritage sites in Rome or wherever. So I really do get what they're doing, because if you don't, if you protest somewhere where no one sees, or then what's the fucking point of it, right? Something that the old football people didn't seem to grasp, or had trouble grasping anyway. Like, if it doesn't inconvenience people, if it doesn't disrupt people, if it doesn't bother people, there's really little point in protesting. In the case of Zepeda and Green, I had a jokingly thought to myself, like, would these guys count as enemies of the Constitution because they're trying to deface it? I'm sure that's not exactly what that was written for, that oath of enlistment and oath of office. But there you go. That's those two guys have been arrested. Blah blah blah. Vandalism taken very seriously by the curators or whatever. So remember that plan I told you about? Governor of New Mexico proposed at COP28, that was in, I believe, the United Arab Emirates not too long ago, where the plan was to buy wastewater. using state funds, about $100 million in state funds, to buy brackish and drill water that was untreated. New Mexico is actually like a strategic supplier of oil and gas in the U.S. I think they're behind Texas, and that's it. So the idea was to reclaim that water and treat it so that it can be stored for whenever. Stored it for, well, not a rainy day, but you know what I mean. Strategic supply, I guess, is the operating phrase there. But anyway, the executive director of the Western Environmental Law Center, Eric Schlenker, his words, the state should step back from the brink of spending $100 million of the people's money on a concept that presents serious, unaddressed risks to our state's aquifers. Now, I'm not I'd have to read into why his reasoning, but I mean, if you're storing it separately, I'm not sure how that's a risk to the aquifers, but whatever, man. Dude's the executive director. Probably knows better than I do. Okay. Last thing in the environment and energy segment. The House reverses Biden's pause on the approval for the liquefied natural gas exports. I believe I talked about that like 30 years ago, last time I was here. But Representative August Pfluger, Republican out of Texas 11, he sponsored the bill that passed 224 to 200. So mostly party lines, but not quite. Some Dems voted for it. This is unfortunately, like many things, performative. It's unlikely to pass the Senate. It is very unlikely that Biden would sign it if it did pass the Senate. So then you'd kind of repeat the exercise. Pfluger said that the world needs American natural gas, that this catastrophic, politically based and legally dubious ban must be reversed immediately. Catastrophic? It's a little bit hyperbolic. Politically based? Incorrect. That's fucking dumb. No. Legally dubious? No, I'm pretty sure he's allowed to do that, but okay. I mean, if he wasn't allowed to do that, you could have just brought it to court, right? And it would have been overturned right away. But I don't know. So, as far as political basis, an interesting thing is that it was held. He deferred the decision until November, after the election. Now, the thing about that time is he wanted to have more environmental studies done in the port, or in and around the ports where it's going to be sent off from. I think a lot of them were in Louisiana. Now, from what I recall, Biden's specific reasoning was that he wanted to have a deeper look at the environmental impact. So is that politically based? I don't know. I don't think climate change is that's not a political thing. It's just a matter of fact, Pfluger. But I get what he means. He thinks that the climate is a political issue. Catastrophic. Now, he was talking about, I know that a lot of these exports were destined for a lot of EU nations, which depend pretty heavily on Russia for gas, but they've been trying to peel off because Russia and Ukraine, no shit. So I do get the catastrophic part. Like, you're trying to cut off Russia's their economic lifeblood, right? And this does hinder that process, hinder the the European market from getting off of Russian gas. Expecting them to just pivot into renewables right away, that's ridiculous. That's asking too much. So I think that I don't entirely agree with Pfluger on his wording here, but to a degree, I do agree with the catastrophic part. Like we can stop using fossil fuels fucking all day and night until we no longer need them. But we can't necessarily impose that onto our European partners, who are by all measurements doing much better at switching to renewables than we are. So I don't know. I think it wouldn't be a terrible thing to be kind of band-aiding their cuts while they work on better solutions. I think that's a bit more of a pragmatic way of looking at it for me. The economic part, of course, is going to be good for the fossil fuel industry, which I don't like, but it's not the political points. Biden's kind of fucked either way. Like, if he doesn't do it, then if he allows it to go ahead, then it's, the progressive base is not going to be appreciative of it. Actually, Representative Maxwell Frost, Democrat out of Florida 10, said, "I can only hope and pray and fight to make sure that we build off Biden's pause to get to a green, clean future." Yeah, I do too. Just, I don't know if Europe can. I don't think they can really build off that pause when they're like freezing ass now. I don't know. I really do sympathize with the environmental aspect of it. I really do. Just as a matter of pragmatism, I think Europe, and there's also like Asia destinations we're trying to get them away from using China fossil fuels. In particular, coal, which is considerably worse for the environment than natural gas. So there's that. It's a really tough situation. It's a tough situation. That's why Biden gets paid the big bucks, I guess. All right, now I wanted to end on something kind of funny. Which I okay. All right, so there's a journalist that was in Florida, Corey Hill. He was at a DeSantis press event. All right. So Corey Hill asked DeSantis, "How can you square your opposition to gender-affirming care and people identifying with the gender of their choosing when your choice to wear heels to identify with the height of your choosing?" Oh, oh, fuck, that was good. From what I read, pretty much everyone had a good laugh at it, except Ron, of course. He was pretty upset. Which, I don't know, dude. Just own it. If you're short king, man. If you are, well, that's short kings wouldn't wear fucking heels because they don't need to. But there you go. That's Ronnie D for you. All right. Oh, let me get us wrapped up because kind of running a little long here. So, it's coming. It's coming. I'm looking for advertisement of just exploring my options right now, seeing what kind of advertisers would be interested in the different shows that I do. And so it's inevitable. I'm sorry to tell you, it is. I do run a very lean operation, but operational costs being offset is always a good thing. Ideally, I would like to get to the point where I can compensate my panelists for their time, but that's, I guess, a little bit more for me to worry about than you. Regardless, so I am arranging for something like Supercast or Patreon, one of those sorts of subscription services, where you can get ad-free episodes. But those things will come at the same time. Okay, like I'm not going to start rolling out ads and then like leave you hanging, having to deal with it. Me reading about like BetterHelp or whatever dumb fuck shit comes my way. One thing that I will say for certain is that just looking at what I have now in the inbox, I'm not gonna be taking anything that I don't believe in. If I don't believe in the product or service, if I don't get to try the product or service, then I'm not taking it, because I'm not gonna be shilling for things that I don't believe in. Anyway, so yeah, when that comes, the Patreon shit will be rolled out, or Supercast, whichever one, I don't know. Have to weigh my options there, but those will come at the same time. All right, so just something to keep in mind. Definitely not going to be pricing the subscription service very high. I don't know. 833 Lux Pods, do you think I should do maybe OnlyFans? Can show you my butt from time to time. Right, so lvxmedia.net, that's where all of the other shows that we do are MMA, boxing. We have some occult, esoteric, fucking... I refer to all that category of stuff as ooky spooky stuff, which is what the show's called, if you're into that kind of thing. So, and there's more, always trying to do more. God, I really want to get a video game podcast going. Anyway, so there's that. LVX Media Net on social media, if that's the handle. If you can't find it, we're not on it. It would be great if you interacted with the post. It would be nice. Like if you don't want to call or text, you can leave comments and DMs or whatever. So that would be appreciated. What helps the most is leaving a rating wherever it is that you're listening. I would like, if you're not feeling a 5, before you commit to that not 5 rating, text me or something, tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I could do better. I would much rather try to improve. Always open to constructive criticism to make the listening experience better for everyone. And yeah, I want to earn the rest of the stars before you drop a not 5, because it's difficult. It's difficult out there. If you have the time, a review would be great. If not, that's fine too. I don't leave a lot of reviews on podcasts, to be honest with you, so I wouldn't ask you to do it if I wouldn't. Just the stars, though, that would be nice. Okay. Last thing is Common Defense. This is a progressive veterans group that I'm a part of. We get our hands into a lot of stuff. I'm just a volunteer, like I'm not a staff or anything. I just really like the group. So if you want to sign up, you just check it out, lvx.at/CDEF. All right, put that in your browser. It'll take you right to the membership sign up page. And like you just like put in your name and email address, and then someone will want to talk to you, see what they would want to feel out what what are your political priorities, I guess, like what causes, or what do you want to devote your time to, so they can match you up with the right people. As far as like the group is fucking huge. There's a lot of people in it. I am certain that no matter where you are in the US, there is more than likely somebody nearby. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the works. Like I know that the Black Veterans Caucus, they were talking about voter suppression today. They gave it was a national meeting today, and they did a little presentation on voter suppression and that kind of thing. Like, how has it progressed through the Civil Rights Act up to now? I know that the Latin American Veterans Caucus, I'm a member of, we are working diligently on the deported veterans issue. Like, surprise, there are veterans, like some of them are combat veterans who have been deported. I don't think it was malicious, but they were misled during recruiting that if they join, like that citizenship is kind of an automatic thing when it's not, unfortunately. It's much easier for veterans or for active duty, but it's not it's not automatic. And some of these guys were like, they went to Vietnam, or I think there's some Gulf War, some dudes in Panama, Grenada, just all kinds of different places. And so they get a little bit, their head is not right. Like, combat really fucked them up. Understandable. I can 100% relate. The shit is not easy to cope with. And so these guys get busted for something. Like, maybe they get into like a heated argument with their spouse or whatever, and it gets reported as domestic violence. They get in a fight with somebody at a bar because they had too much to drink and someone was being an asshole or something. I don't know. Whatever the case is, these guys get caught and then they get deported, and they're stuck. Like, one guy stuck in Ecuador, which, if you listen to the worldwide edition, you know how shitty things are there right now. That guy is no shit's like scared of leaving his neighborhood. That's how bad it is over there. So those are the types of situations that we work to rectify, and the types of people that we try to help get them back where they belong. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what the Latin Veterans Caucus is doing. And yeah, there's environmental stuff. I know that they're trying to put together a caucus for LGBT plus people, women, whatever the case is. If you're a veteran, we'd love to have you. So, is there anything else? I don't think so. I'm going to wrap this up because it's fucking late. All right. Well, thank you for listening. I will see you next time.